All right, let's jump right into this explainer and demystify something that still gives even seasoned IT pros a bit of a headache: how to effectively troubleshoot IPv6 connectivity across Windows, Mac, and Linux. We've been treating IPv6 as the network of tomorrow for years, but let's be real, tomorrow is officially here, and it's definitely running in your environment right now.
Here's the tricky part. As these dual stack environments grow, IPv6 issues can cause degraded service, or worse, entirely silent outages that slip right past your standard IPv4 monitoring. Think about it. Your application fails to connect to an API, and it's not because the API is down. It's because the IPv6 preference is just silently timing out in the background. That is exactly what we're going to fix today. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with common IPv6 problems, move into Linux IPv6 tools, followed by Mac OS diagnostics, Windows PowerShell, and finally wrap up with debugging DNS. Diving right into Section 1, Common IPv6 Connectivity Problems. Let's look at what actually goes wrong. These are the universal symptoms you'll want to look out for. Now, sometimes it's super obvious, right? Like no IPv6 address assigned or a missing default route. But often, it's way more subtle. Take firewalls aggressively blocking ICMPv6. In the old IPv4 days, blocking ICMP might just kill a ping request. But in IPv6, ICMPv6 is absolutely mandatory for neighbor discovery and path MTU discovery. You block it, you literally break your network. You might also run into MTU issues, where tiny packets work just fine, but the moment you try a large data transfer, it inexplicably fails with a packet too big error. You know, IPv6 can look pretty intimidating with those massive strings of hexadecimal characters, but the fundamental concepts, they map directly to the IPv4 tools you already use every single day. Where we used to rely on A records, we now look for AAA records. Where we used ARP to resolve a MAC address, we're now using the Neighbor Discovery Protocol, or NDP. The underlying logic is exactly the same. We are really just updating our vocabulary here. Let's walk through the stateless address auto-configuration timeline, better known as SLAC. First, a device generates a link local address. You'll recognize that by the FE80 prefix. Then, it runs duplicate address detection just to make absolutely sure no one else on the network is using it. Next up, it shoots out a router solicitation to find the local router. The router fires back with an advertisement, and boom, the device builds its own global unicast address that's fully routable on the internet. Nailing down this exact timeline is absolutely crucial when you're trying to pinpoint exactly where a connection failed. Moving on to Section 2, Linux IPv6 Troubleshooting Tools and Mastering the Command Line. When you're on a Linux machine, you've got a really nice progressive diagnostic workflow using the powerful IP command suite, specifically passing that -6 flag. Step 1, run IP-6 address show. You've got to verify that your global address actually exists first. Step 2, check for a default route with IP-6 route show default. Obviously, if that comes back empty, you're not reaching the outside world. And step 3, use IP-6 nashow to peek at your neighbor cache for any stale or failed entries. If your router is sitting there tagged as failed, well, you've just found your culprit. Now here is a fantastic, highly targeted tool, NDisk6. If you're trying to run ping6 on the local subnet and it fails, run NDisk6. If that times out, it is a dead giveaway that you're dealing with a Layer 2 neighbor discovery failure. You can figure that out instantly, long before you waste time trying to debug complex Layer 3 routing protocols. It's essentially the IPv6 equivalent of ARPing, and it's a lifesaver. You also need to know your ping6 and tracer route 6 flags. The -S flag for ping6 is brilliant. It lets you manually set the packet size, which is exactly how you diagnose those tricky MTU issues we talked about earlier. And for tracer route 6, the -T flag is pure gold. It uses TCP SYN probes instead of the default UDP or ICMP, which lets you trace routes right through stubborn firewalls that just love to aggressively drop standard ICMP traffic. All right, on to Section 3, Diagnosing Issues on Mac OS, covering the built-in tools and workflows. Troubleshooting on a Mac happens in layers. First, you'll use ifconfig pipe2 grep inet6 to quickly filter for your addresses. Now, pay close attention to the second step here. When you're testing a link local gateway, one of those FE80 addresses, you absolutely have to append the zone ID. So something like %EN0 for your Wi-Fi or Ethernet adapter. Because link local addresses aren't globally unique, your Mac has literally no idea which physical interface to push that ping out of unless you specifically tell it. Then you wrap up by checking your routing table with netstat and testing your DNS using dig.
And here's a quick pro tip for you macOS users. If your ping 6 works flawlessly for an IP address but completely fails the second you try a hostname, your local DNS cache might just be poisoned or stuck. Running a quick sudo dcacheutil -flush cache from the terminal might instantly solve your entire problem. No need to go digging around in your network interface settings. Let's pivot to Section 4, Windows Configuration with PowerShell, and managing IPv6 programmatically. For those of you living in PowerShell, the net TCP/IP module makes these commands incredibly logical to map out. You use get net IP address to view details, explicitly isolating it to the IPv6 address family. You use get net route to check out your routing table, and resolve DNS name to test your AAA records. And the best part? Because PowerShell is fully object-oriented, you can just pipe these commands together. It makes it super easy to quickly filter out all those noisy loopback or link local addresses and focus purely on your global routing config. But look, sometimes things just break. If your Windows configurations, especially complex transition technologies like Teredo 6-4 or ISATAP tunnels, get completely tangled up, don't panic and reinstall your network drivers. The netsh interface IPv6 reset command is basically your big red reset button. It wipes the slate clean so you can start fresh. Just remember, you will need an elevated admin prompt for that and a quick reboot afterward to actually apply the changes. Finally, Section 5, Debugging IPv6 DNS Resolution. What to do when the names just don't match the numbers. When your DNS breaks over IPv6, it's almost always going to be one of a few common culprits. The biggest offender? Simply a missing AAA record. Like the domain admin literally just forgot to configure it for IPv6. Happens all the time. Other times, it's a firewall blocking port 53, or a weird IPv6 transport issue where queries work perfectly fine over IPv4, but totally failed to reach the IPv6 DNS server. Also, keep an eye out for DNSSEC validation failures. Those can silently drop your queries if the cryptographic chain of trust gets broken. To diagnose this stuff, you basically have two main tools. Now, NSLOOKUP is great for simple, quick checks, mostly because it's already pre-installed on practically every Windows and Mac machine on the planet. But Dig is your absolute powerhouse. It gives you this incredibly detailed analysis, letting you trace paths, validate that DNSSEC chain, and even run massive batch queries for really complex environments. Keep these specific Dig queries in your back pocket because they will quickly isolate exactly where things are going wrong. Use the +short flag to cut out all the extra noise and just get the IP address. You can also direct your query to a specific authoritative name server by using the @ symbol, which is perfect for ruling out any local caching weirdness. Use the -X flag to check reverse DNS pointer records. And crucially, if you suspect a chain of trust failure, just append +DNSX to see if your resolver is actually validating those cryptographic signatures. Ultimately, whether you're managing servers on Linux, developing on a Mac, or administrating a massive enterprise Windows environment, the syntax you type into the terminal changes, but the underlying network logic, it stays exactly the same. Verify the address, check the route, validate neighbor discovery, and test your DNS. It's like a giant puzzle, and you've got all the pieces. So, looking at the tool sets we just ran through, which operating system are you going to master first?